Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the show. We're here today with our Friday review. Super excited to get into today's show because there's so much to share with you. So much has gone on over the past week. One of those was a big mishap on my part on a trail run that I went on to that I want to share with you. Many of you saw on Instagram myself posting that as well. I'll also be reposting it today too. But I want to share that story with you. Maybe there'll be some takeaways from it. But if not, just share with you kind of some of the fun that I have in the fitness field overall. Some ups, some downs. This one was a big down, but overall it turned out okay in the end. I also want to share with you a specific type of actually omega-6 based plant-based oil that has tremendous benefits. Many people asking me why it's used in Ayurveda if it's an omega-6. I'm going to share that with you. I have a new supplement to recommend. I shouldn't say it's a new supplement, but it's a supplement that I haven't talked as much about. I have to be careful to speak about it in a way that I'm allowed to, and I will do that, of course, on the show today. I'll bring you two new research studies that I do want you to know about. Two of them essentially based around pharmaceuticals and why you may want to be a little bit wary when prescribed these as well. So we'll get to all of that today. A couple apps that I want to share with you too that I've been using a lot over the last month, so I want to share that with you. But before we get started, just want to make sure that you know what's going on this week over in the private practice. This is an important one because we've simply never done it before. And so I know that you've heard about it this week if you've been tuning into the show, but this is the last day or so. If it's even still available, I pre-record my show a couple days in advance. We only had 100 of these, so I'm not going to make too big of a deal about it, although it's a huge deal. So, that's why I do it, to at least mention it. If there are any left, I can't recommend it enough. I mean, we've never done this before because, and people, I don't know if they just don't believe it or what. Well, it's 5 different labs, like 5 at-home functional medicine-based labs that I've used myself for 20 years. I've used in my private practice now for a good decade. And this is what it means to truly look at personalized based health. I mean, this is what it's all about. Getting the gut profile, getting your vitamins profile. What are you deficient in, okay? What about your mineral profile? Looking at your heavy metals, looking at your food sensitivities, looking at your hormones, your cortisol, your thyroid, looking at your vitamin D, looking at your estrogen, your progesterone, testosterone, DHEA. And that's just a fraction of the over 150 different biomarkers that you're going to get to see. Plus a 90-minute health coaching consultation, plus a plan that's been basically proven to work that we've used many, many times for you. So I can't say it enough. It's $500 off. I mean, we've never done anything like this before. We actually are going to lose a little bit of money by offering this deal, but this is one of those things that is the right thing to do. With this coming fall and this coming winter, it is going to be, I really believe this, that it's going to get worse because of the media before it's going to get better. I don't think that we're going to be through this until next spring. I really don't. I don't believe that we're going to be through this until next April or May. I just want everyone in our community. Of course, I want everyone over the whole world, but we can't work with the whole world, but we want everyone, at least in our community, to take care of their family, take care of their loved ones, begin to just teach people what they need to do. And, if I'm able to do that and for at least 100 people, well, then at least I feel like I've done something, that I've tried. And that's really all I can do because it's not going to be good. It's really not. I'm an optimistic person, but I don't see this going well, especially through November. So here's what we can do, though. We can look out for ourselves. We can really take back control of our health. That's what these labs are meant to do. Get you prepared. Make sure you're looking at your numbers. And you know what? I'm doing it for myself. I'm doing it for my family. So why wouldn't I share it with you? So that's what it's all about. The Big Five, $500 off. We've never done it before. We're not doing it again. So you can check it out over at equilibriumnutrition.com while supplies last. Okay, Now, on a little lighter topic, a little bit more fun now that I can tell you that I made it out. But basically, one thing that I've really been getting into since quarantine and being in Maine, I've been in Maine now since, April. And again, loving my time up here. I love Maine. I mean, I really do. I love being away from the city. I didn't realize, I love the city, but I love also being outside of the city. It's just something different about being near the ocean and fresh air and just a more relaxed environment that I love. And so I wanted to get back into running. I haven't done it in many, many years. And so I got into trail running. I bought my trail running sneakers that I talked about on a previous show. There's all sorts of ticks and mosquitoes up here. So I wear my wool socks. I pull them up nice and high, spray myself down in my mosquito and tick spray. Again, I've talked about the different types that I use my geranium oil, and I get out there. And then, of course, I just check, make sure there's no ticks on me, anything like that. But I've been loving exploring all these different trails up here. So I want to share an app with you. I didn't have this app before I went on the run. I want to share the run with you first. So I check out this new trail not too far from my new office. Got a new office up here, as we plan on being up here for a little bit of time. And it's 140 acres. So I take off. I look at the map ahead of time, and I'm just saying, oh, great, I'm going to do the easy loop. Because it's my first time in this particular trail. It's, again, 140 acres, and the black trail is 2.6 miles. So I said, great, I'm going to do the black trail. I've got about 30 minutes from start to finish. That's all I can dedicate it to it. So good. I'm going to run this 2.6 miles. I'll have plenty of time. I'll be able to get home. Everything will be good. Plenty of time for dinner. Okay, so here's what I do. Take off in the trail, and I'm immediately looking around me like this is the most beautiful trail that I've ever been on. Absolutely secluded inside the city, but basically absolutely beautiful. And it's dark. There's just so many trees. It takes me back to my cross-country running days. And I was loving it. So I'm looking for the trails because there's 6 different trails. So I'm looking at the different trails. And didn't do too much research on this course. I just said, listen, let me go check it out because I want to try all these different trails. So I start running and I'm booking it through. I'm feeling great. Body's feeling good. Body's feeling rested. No aches, no pains. There's roots everywhere. There's rocks. So I'm kind of really staying focused in the moment. It's like a real meditative based practice that I love doing. And there's no one there. There's nobody in this 140 acres. And so I'm running. I see the black trails. I see the different, all it is a little spray paint on a tree. And then all of a sudden, there's 3 different turns. I don't know which way to go, but I say, you know what? Why don't I just take the middle one, right? Take the middle one. We'll be good to go. I know some go inside. I know some go outside. I'll take the middle. So I'm running for another 5 minutes, no markings. All of a sudden, I end up on what's called the yellow trail. The yellow trail, well, it's a little bit more challenging. There's more rocks. It's steep declines, all these different things. I said, no problem. I know the yellow trail, as I looked at the map earlier, it eventually loops back around to the black one. Well, next thing I know, I'm on the blue trail. And then from there, I'm on the red trail. Now, I'm completely lost. So in the beginning, I thought, no big deal. I'm going to just have a little fun. I'll explore. I'll be able to get back on the black trail. Well, after about 10 more minutes of running, I'm already 20 minutes into my run. I have absolutely no idea where I am. And I know that I've been running for probably around 2 miles or so. So I go to pull up my phone. I said, I need to find my way out of here. Well, my phone doesn't need service when I'm inside of a dense forest, a couple miles into the woods with no idea what's north, what's south. So I was thinking to myself, well, you know what? Let's just start running. Hopefully we see another marking on a tree. I see another marking on a tree. This time, I'm back to the red trail. I don't know if that's good or bad because I didn't memorize this map. So now I'm getting a little worried because I say to myself, well, it's getting close to when I'm supposed to be back with my family for dinner. It's also going to be dark in another hour or so. So I said, I need to get out of this woods. So I had to go back to my Boy Scout days. I'm looking at moss on trees. This is no exaggeration. I find a river and I said, okay, well, this river is going to lead me somewhere. And so what I did was I said, okay, I'm going to run along this river. I'm making my own trail. I'm running along. Any other time in the world, this would have been the most beautiful run that I've ever been on in my entire life. It is absolutely gorgeous. I'm the only one here. So if there was someone else, I could at least ask them. Finally, the trail, I can start to see, there's brighter light there. So I keep running along the river. And then all of a sudden I say, okay, that sounds like there's some streetcars out there. And I actually just turn off the trail. I'd go through these like homes and businesses, and I find my way out to the street. And I said, oh, okay, I know where I am. I'm about 3/4 of a mile down the road from where I parked my car. Kind of a hilarious run. I probably ran about 4.5 miles. I mean, I was really booking it. Maybe, yes, I was a little late for dinner coming home, but a pretty hilarious experience now that I made it out of the woods. I knew that I would. It wasn't that I was never going to make it out because, again, I was going to keep running in one direction until I made it out 140 acres. I knew I would eventually get out, but I didn't know where I'd end up. And so here's the thing. After that, I said, okay, how am I able to figure out this course? And of course, I could download like a screenshot of the trails, but there's actually an app. All of this leads me to an app called All Trails. That's the name of the app. But my brother-in-law actually shared it with me. And now you can actually download the apps of all the different trails and they rate the trails. So I go on the app and I look up this particular trail and everybody says the same thing. Beautiful trail, amazing place. Can't believe it's in this location, but really poorly marked. And I had no idea. I was like, yes, exactly. It's a beautiful trail, but not marked at all. So anyway, hilarious. Yes, I'm definitely going to go back. I'm definitely going to run it again. This time, I might not even care if I get lost if I download the actual app as to how to get back out. So anyway, just wanted to share that with you. Been loving my trail running, even if I end up completely lost in the process. And that was a great, great run. I really enjoyed it now that I made it out. So I'll be doing that one for sure again. One other app I wanted to share with you that I've been using now for, it's been 10 years, but Under Armour bought the app. By the way, I'm not sponsored by either of these apps, but Under Armour bought this app and it's called Log My Run. I've been using them for a decade. I mean, when I was training for some sprint tries, that's what I was using. So I'm a huge fan of Log My Run for regular like road runs, regular road work, to find out the pace that you're running at, to find out also how far you've run, all those great stats. So they're both free, by the way. You can definitely upgrade to paid versions. It's probably like maybe $2 a month or $3 a month, something like that. Yeah, I know you pay for the year, but Log My Run and All Trails app, they're both free. They're both fantastic if you're getting more into running or biking. You can use them for sure for biking as well. All right, so that's my story for the week. A little story time. But again, sometimes those experiences are fun. I was again, not really worried that I would never find my way out. Definitely worried that I definitely would not be home for dinner. That's for sure. My family might be a little worried, but made it out. Was probably only 20 minutes late. I called when I got to the car. I was like, hey, I'm going to be 20 minutes late. But now that I know that I'll be able to make it out a little bit easier next time. And by the way, those hard trails are hard. I was running up steep inclines, rocks everywhere, roots coming out of the ground, bridges made out of sticks. Pretty hilarious. And I've also heard that there's like a waterfall somewhere inside of there too. So, hey, I'm looking forward to checking it out again, but that's what I wanted to share there. All right, the next one is this. These Friday reviews are basically anything goes. So people have been asking me, and for a while now, and I've explained it to a degree, why in Ayurveda do they use sesame oil? All right, they keep talking about sesame oil, sesame oil. I'm always talking about it for oil pulling. Well, and people think that Ayurveda is big on coconut oil. Ayurveda is not big on coconut oil. They use coconut oil for sure. They use it for hair. They use it for all sorts of different things. They use a lot of coconut and actually more south in India, that's for sure. But they don't use it as much in the north where it's not as prominent where it grows. So yes, they use that, but they actually use sesame oil to a far greater degree. I mean, every clinic that I ever was for in Ayurveda, they use sesame oil. Here's the reason why. Sesame oil is more of a vata-based balancing oil. And so many people today are dealing with vata-based imbalances because of stress and basically a high-paced lifestyle. And so sesame is great for that. But let's look at it now from more of a modern science-based perspective. So when you look at sesame oil from the outside, you might say like, well, this isn't really that great. Sesame oil basically has no omega-3s in it. I mean, it's 42% omega-6s. So you might say, well, that's not going to be good because that means it's going to be more fragile. It's going to go rancid faster. It's going to oxidize. I'll get to that in a minute. So it's also sesame oil. Let me break down the components for you. So it's about, when you look at all the fatty acids, it's about 41% or so linoleic acid, oleic acid 39%, palmitic acid 8%, stearic acid 5%. So we're looking at omega-6s, and I just did a show on omega-6s and all that. And, more of a polyunsaturated fat for sure. When we look at it, and we look at, again, sesame oil, about 42%. Omega-6s, no omega-3. So you're saying, oh, I'm getting all these omega-6s. But look at this. Ayurveda knew. How did they know? Well, we don't really know how they had this knowledge back then. I've given different hypotheses on how it might happen, but let's think of it this way. Omega-6s, polyunsaturated fats, typically not very good to cook with. And the reason is that they're polyunsaturated. They're typically, well, not all omega-6s, but a lot of fats are, especially plant-based or nut-based. And that means when you cook with them, well, they essentially break apart easier. They're more fragile, and they become more oxidized, which essentially rusts your body from the inside out. So not a good thing. We don't want that. But here's the difference. Sesame oil, and this has now been studied, actually contains what's called sesamolin and sesamin. And these are essentially antioxidants, unique antioxidants to sesame seeds, and the oil itself, that helps reduce the oxidative stress in the body due to these antioxidants already built into sesame seeds or sesame oil. So not only that, studies show that sesame oil helps with boosting the metabolism and fat burning. It actually helps to make alcohol less toxic to the body because it helps to better metabolize alcohol. It can, in some cases, lower bad cholesterol, and I'm using that in air quotes, LDL. And when we use it lightly in cooking, don't burn it, I'm not talking about that, it actually begins to create or open up, or the best way to say this is better allow the body to use those antioxidants when you toast it a little bit. That, again, not burning it, just using it in some of your cooking. So, I mean, it's unbelievable. Every time you think Ayurveda didn't know that they made this mistake, you have to understand, we don't always know. We don't always, even in modern science, we don't have all the knowledge from their perspective of how they were using these things. So it's pretty unbelievable. So what I usually say is, hey, buy a cold processed sesame oil. It's great to then, because when you cook with it, it's going to become toasted. And some people like to buy the toasted, which is essentially already cooked, that they could use then as a dressing. I really like to go with the cold processed oils. I like to keep them in the darker bottle, like first process. I like cold process. I like organic. And then I can use them as a dressing, or you can cook on a light to medium at the very most, just like an olive oil, very light, if you're to do that. So I wanted to share that with you. Again, I think it's just, I'm always amazed at the wisdom of Ayurveda. All right, next up, I want to share with you a supplement review. I can't talk about this too much. I really can't. So I want you to make your own inferences, okay? I want you to make your own inferences with this product that is an extract. It's a very specific extract. This comes out of Japan. It comes from cultured shiitake mushrooms and lentinula mushrooms as well. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, is lentinula, edodes. I don't know the pronunciation of that. I really don't. But it's lentinula. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually share some of the research studies behind it. But this specific extract, you can't just take shiitake mushrooms. It's a specific extract. And this is, I don't know if it's patented, but certainly trademarked. And it's AHCC, okay? What it is, a standardized extract of these mushrooms that have been cultured. There are actual human and animal studies done on it that show how it increases our own natural killer cells and T cells. Now, I'm not making any claims. On this podcast, we don't diagnose disease. We don't treat disease. We don't cure disease. What we do is we help people get well. How do we help them get well? We help them get well by working in the underlying root cause imbalances. Now, so I'm, again, not making any disease claims, but what I would do is I would look up this supplement in relationships to certain types of cancer, and in relationship to certain types of viruses, and in relationship to HPV, which is obviously a virus. So if you want to look up on your own, without me recommending it, the relationship between this supplement and certain types of cancer, as well as HPV, I recommend that, right? I shouldn't say I'm recommending that. I'm not recommending that, but let's just say you wanted to, you could certainly look up this nutritional supplement. I'm not prescribing it, right? I'm not doing that, but you might want to look into it. That's all. Okay. So next up, and I'm not going to link up to it. Can't link. Well, you know what? I'm going to link up to the research study, not the supplement itself. We don't sell this supplement. So again, just want you to know, every single day, I work my best to bring you the unbiased. And so if someone else is making a supplement that we don't use in my company and it works, you better believe I'm going to recommend it to you. Because what I do is not about making money. It's not about any of those things. Yes, I run a business. There's no doubt about that. We have a company that works with people globally, but it's never about that. I never let that influence, 100% of the time, never let it influence what I recommend. So you'll hear me recommend other companies all the time, right? There's all the time. Don't believe in scarcity. Don't believe in any of those things. And all I do is live by this. Listen, put people above profits. That's it. Put people above profits. That's what we need to do in every business. All right, last 2 research studies for the day. So we keep ourselves on time here. Really important. Okay, this is from Dr. Catherine Fleming Dutra, and medical epidemiologist with the Office of Antibiotic Stewardship at Centers for Disease Control and Prevention in Atlanta. And this is published in JAMA Internal Medicine. All right, very reputable journal there. Here's what it says. Urgent care centers overprescribe antibiotics for respiratory infections, warns Dr. Fleming Dutra. Nearly half of patients with respiratory infections that don't require antibiotics receive prescriptions. That's roughly double the portion of inappropriate antibiotic prescriptions given in emergency departments and medical offices. Caution. Unnecessary antibiotics lead to antibiotic resistance and other adverse side effects. Now, again, that's not me giving you this information. That is direct from someone that actually works for essentially an office specializing in antibiotics. This is what they do. They're a medical doctor. So why is that important? I've talked about this before. If you use antibiotics and it is not in a life-saving situation, and you haven't tried at least certain natural modalities, you might be setting yourself up for much bigger issues down the line. Setting yourself up for antibiotic resistance, like when you need them, you actually want them to work, right? You actually want them to work when you need them. The other thing is they disturb the gut. And most people aren't doing natural protocols along with antibiotics. So they're really destroying their gut flora. They truly are destroying their gut flora because they're killing the good biotics or the good probiotics or the good bacteria along with the bad. What leads then is to massive yeast overgrowth, candida overgrowth, typically in many, many people. And then eventually SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, because more of the negative-based bacteria begins to overgrow. So all I'm saying is use antibiotics when it's life-saving. Be careful when it's not. And don't be afraid to have the conversation with your doctor. Listen, are these absolutely necessary? Is this a life-saving situation? Would I be able to use anything else? Is there a specific period of time I might be able to wait to see if I'm able to overcome this on my own? And again, if your doctor says, no, this is a life-saving situation, you could potentially die in the next 72 hours if you don't use these the next week. Well, again, listen to your medical doctor. So I'm not saying not to use them. There's a time and a place, but let's be smart about them. All right. That's all that I'm saying. Next up, a similar vein as this one. This is done by the Jordi Gall Institute for Research in Barcelona and the Biomedical Research Center in Girona. That's probably completely mispronunciation of Girona, Spain, and published in the British Medical Journal. Reputable journal, once again, so reputable study here. We're looking at this. Statins do not prevent heart disease in healthy people over age 75. Interesting. So let's look at this because there's 2 parts to this. Statins, so this means basically a cholesterol lowering drug, they do reduce cardiovascular disease and death from any cause in older people they already have heart disease or type 2 diabetes. But they are not effective for primary prevention, reducing the risk for a first heart attack in healthy older adults. Let me repeat that. Because there are so many people right now being put on a preventative, and again, I'm using that in air quotes, statin drug. But they are not effective for primary prevention, reducing the risk for a first heart attack in healthy older adults. This is so important because if you don't already have heart disease and you don't have type 2 diabetes and you're being put on a statin drug, it actually weakens your heart and can weaken your heart. So if someone's in really bad shape and they're not going to eat well, they're not going to exercise, they're not going to do anything, should they be put in a statin? Maybe they should, right? That's not for my place. My place is to convince the world to start following the de-stress protocol. That to some degree, that's my job. So I'm not a medical doctor. I'm board certified doctor of naturopathy. My job is natural, right? Naturopathy. That's what I do. But there are other doctors, brilliant doctors, medical doctors. That's what they're there for. Remember, 9 out of 10 people, more than that, aren't going to follow these healthy recommendations, but our community will. And if we continue to teach more and more people, we may not have a need for all of these pharmaceutical drugs. So that's what it's all about. So anybody you know who's thinking about going on a statin drug, especially like the 40s and 50s, it's insane. I see this all the time. Hey, family history, this, that, and the other thing. I understand. Family history means follow your nutrition better. Follow your exercise better. Make sure you're doing heavy metal detox protocols. Do your functional medicine detox. Like, get your sleep. All of these different things matter. They all matter. So again, I read 2 parts of that. It was unbiased. Hey, it helps with people that already have heart disease and they don't want to die of cardiovascular disease and already have type 2 diabetes. Totally different story, right? But what about for prevention? No, the science isn't there. So again, I wanted to share that with you today. Hopefully this podcast has been helpful. I always try to bring you that unbiased perspective. Of course, if it has been helpful, please do feel free to share this show with anyone you believe it can serve. And if you're looking for the big 5 labs I spoke about in the beginning, that $500 off, if you're looking for the All Trails app, the Log My Run, a sesame oil recommendation, the AHCC research on those cultured mushrooms, or today's 2 research studies, you can find all of those links over at stevencabral.com/1659. Have an amazing weekend, everyone, and I'll talk with you tomorrow on our Cabral House Calls. Thank you so much for just tuning into the show. And before you go, we have what very well may be our most important offer to date for our community. And that is, we are trying to do everything that we can to help you boost your immune system naturally, to get well, rebalance the body, and make sure that you have adequate levels of nutrients in your body, vitamins, minerals, omega-3s, etc., and that you don't have toxicities coming into this fall and this winter. This winter, this fall is not like any other time we've ever been through in most of our lifetimes. This is a time more important than ever to make sure that we are well, that we are healthy, and that we are balanced. And so what I asked my team at Equilibrium Nutrition to do is, can we allow other people to do what I'm doing, which is running my Big 5 labs for a second time this year? I ordinarily run them around my birthday in March every single year without fail. I do that every single year. But this year I'm running them a second time. And I'm doing that because I want to make sure, because your body's not static, that I'm where I need to be in terms of my immune system, so that if I'm traveling, I stay healthy, I stay well. And I'm doing the same for my family too. And I'm asking those people in our private practice and recommending it that they do it. So I said, if we're recommending this for friends, for family, and people in our private health coaching practice, how could we not offer this to our community as well? We've never done this before, and it's absolutely for a limited number. We are going to offer our Big 5 labs at a discounted price. We've done before a 10% off discount, which is absolutely a huge discount because these labs are already discounted about $500. But we like to do that for people because we know the power behind finding out this amount of data. You look at your gut function, candida overgrowth, bacterial overgrowth. You look at mitochondrial function. You look at your vitamin levels. You're looking at your mineral levels, your heavy metals. You are looking at your omega-3s to your omega-6s. So you're looking at inflammation. You're looking at food sensitivities. And you're also checking out all of the hormones. You're checking out cortisol levels throughout the day, thyroid levels, T4, T3, TSH, TPO. You're looking at estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. You're looking at estrogen dominance if there's any of that. And you're looking at your blood sugar levels as well in terms of insulin and hemoglobin A1C. The amount of data you get is unbelievable. And that's why obviously I see huge value in it. And I think most people would run the Big 5 labs if it simply wasn't due to the finances. That's it. I mean, that's the only reason why you want to get this type of data, because you can't get it through blood work with your doctor alone. And that's because conventional medicine specializes in sick care. What we want to do is help people with true health care. We want to help them look at what are the underlying root causes within their body that may be keeping them unwell, unbalanced, or more at risk for a lower immune system. So our goal is to make sure that people are prepared, that they are healthy, and that they are safe. And that's, again, this is why I'm doing it for myself, and I'm doing it for those people in my family as well in our private practice. So instead of the 10% off, we wanted to be able to do more. I asked my team to do more. What could we do? So we're actually offering $500 off our already discounted price of the Big 5 labs. That means the Big 5 labs, for the first time ever, is now less than $1,000, which, if when you look at it, is an incredible price, because we are actually going to lose a little bit of money on these labs. And you might say, well, that's crazy. Why would you ever do that? Well, here's why. You're getting the Big 5 labs, Plus, you're getting a 60 to 90 minute health coaching call with it to explain your labs, what they mean, and then you're getting a program tailored for you. But we're doing this because it's the right thing to do. Because it's what people probably need the most right now is not to guess, to be able to test, to look at what their underlying root cause imbalances are. And we know that this is for our community. Many people have already bought nutritional supplements before. Many people have already bought labs before. So this Big 5 lab bundle, we're reserving 100. So there's only 100. We certainly can't do this for 1,000, but we can do it for 100 people. And these Big 5 labs is to be used by one person individually. They can't be broken up. So if you feel like this is the right time for you, you want to be able to gather all of this data for one place, have someone that's knowledgeable in the labs be able to explain them to you, and then give you a program tailored to you to help with those deficiencies and toxicities. This is the time to do that right now. I wish you all well. Let me know how we can help. My team and I can help in any way. Of course, we're available to you. Just let us know. And if this offer seems right, head on over to equilibriumnutrition.com while supplies last. Take care.